Welcome back. No startup succeeds alone. Regardless of how talented your team is or how innovative your product is, there will come a point, usually quite early, when your success depends on your ability to build relationships with people and organizations outside your company. Strategic partnerships can give you access to customers, distribution, technology, credibility, and resources that would take years to build on your own. But partnerships are built on soft skills, trust, communication, empathy, and the ability to create genuine mutual value. Here is a principle I have learned through decades of building partnerships across countries and cultures. The most successful partnerships are not transactions, they are relationships. A transaction ends when the exchange is complete. A relationship deepens over time, creating value that neither party could have anticipated at the beginning. The entrepreneurs who build the most powerful partnerships are those who approach every relationship with genuine curiosity about what the other party needs, not just what they want to extract. This connects powerfully to the 6 C's. Communication, because partnerships require ongoing, honest dialogue about expectations, concerns, and evolving needs. Collaboration, because the entire purpose of a partnership is to create together what neither could create alone. Compassion, because understanding your partner's constraints, pressures, and aspirations is essential to building something sustainable. Critical thinking, because not every partnership opportunity is worth pursuing, and the ability to evaluate alignment honestly prevents costly mistakes. Creativity, because the best partnerships create value in ways that neither party initially imagined. And commitment, because partnerships that survive difficulty are those where both parties have invested enough to push through challenges rather than walk away. In the AI age, partnership dynamics are changing. AI enables new forms of collaboration, data sharing, co-development of AI models, shared platforms. But the human skills that underpin partnerships remain unchanged. Trust must still be built person to person. Misunderstandings must still be resolved through honest conversation. And the decision to commit resources to a partnership still requires human judgment about character and shared values. Today, we cover 4 areas: identifying the right partners, building trust before you need anything, structuring partnerships for mutual value, and maintaining relationships through difficulty. Part 1. Identifying the right partners. Not every potential partner is the right partner. The most common partnership mistake is pursuing relationships based on what you want to get rather than what you can build together. Start with complementary strengths. The best partnerships bring together organizations that are strong where the other is weak. If you have a great product but no distribution, a partner with distribution and no product in your category is a natural fit. If you have local market knowledge but limited technology, a technology partner seeking market access is a natural fit. Ask, what do we have that others need? And what do others have that we need? The intersection is where partnerships create the most value. James Moore, a business strategist, introduced the concept of business ecosystems in his research published in the Harvard Business Review. Moore argued that companies do not compete as isolated entities. They compete as members of ecosystems, networks of organizations that co-evolve capabilities and create shared value. Apple's success, for example, is inseparable from its ecosystem of app developers, accessory manufacturers, content creators, and retail partners. Each member of the ecosystem benefits from the success of the others. For startup founders, Moore's insight means thinking beyond bilateral partnerships to ecosystem positioning. Where do you fit in a larger network of value creation, and which relationships within that network are most strategic for your growth. Assess values alignment before capability alignment. A partner with complementary capabilities but incompatible values will eventually create conflict that outweighs the operational benefits. Do they treat their people well? Do they honor commitments? How do they behave when things go wrong? These questions matter more than the size of their customer base or the sophistication of their technology. You can compensate for capability gaps. You cannot compensate for values misalignment. Research the partner's reputation through their existing relationships. Before committing to a partnership, talk to people who have worked with the potential partner before. How do they behave when disagreements arise? Do they share credit or hoard it? Do they follow through on commitments? A partner's past behavior with others is the most reliable predictor of how they will behave with you. If you cannot find anyone who speaks positively about working with them, that silence tells you something important. Part 2, building trust before you need anything. The most effective partnership conversations begin long before either party needs something specific. Trust built in advance creates opportunities that transactional outreach never could. Keith Ferrazzi, in his research on professional relationships published in Never Eat Alone, documented a principle that applies directly to partnership building. Generosity precedes return. The most connected and successful professionals are those who consistently give value to others, introductions, insights, assistance, without keeping score or expecting immediate reciprocity. Over time, this generosity creates a network of people who genuinely want to help in return, not out of obligation, but out of genuine goodwill. For founders seeking partnerships, this means starting with what you can offer. Before asking a potential partner for anything, identify something valuable you can give them. It might be a customer insight, a market introduction, a piece of research, or simply a thoughtful perspective on a challenge they face. This initial generosity demonstrates your value and builds the trust that makes future partnership conversations natural rather than forced. Build relationships at multiple levels. A partnership that depends entirely on the relationship between two CEOs is fragile. If either CEO leaves, the partnership may collapse. The most resilient partnerships are those where relationships exist at multiple levels. Executives know executives, but operational teams also know each other, and individual contributors have direct connections to their counterparts. This multi-level relationship structure ensures that the partnership survives, leadership changes, and creates more channels for communication and collaboration. Robert Axelrod, a political scientist at the University of Michigan, conducted a famous study on cooperation using repeated game theory experiments, published as The Evolution of Cooperation. His research found that the most effective strategy for building long-term cooperative relationships was remarkably simple. Start by cooperating, then mirror whatever the other party does. If they cooperate, continue cooperating. If they defect, respond proportionally, but return to cooperation when they do, and never be the first to betray the relationship. Axelrod's research demonstrates mathematically what experienced partnership builders know intuitively. Trust is built through consistent reciprocal cooperation over time. It cannot be demanded, purchased, or shortcut. Part 3, structuring partnerships for mutual value. Good relationships create the foundation for partnerships, but sustainable partnerships also require clear structure. Without explicit agreements about roles, contributions, and value sharing, even the best relationships can deteriorate. Define what each party contributes and what each party receives. This sounds obvious, but many partnerships fail because contributions and benefits were assumed rather than discussed. Before formalizing any partnership, have an explicit conversation. Here is what we will contribute. Here is what we expect to receive. Here is what you will contribute. Here is what you expect to receive. Are we aligned? Write this down. Informal agreements based on vague mutual enthusiasm rarely survive contact with reality. Build in regular review points. Markets change. Capabilities evolve. What made a partnership valuable at the beginning may shift over time. Schedule quarterly or semi-annual reviews where both parties assess, is this partnership still creating mutual value? What has changed? What needs to adjust? Regular reviews prevent the slow accumulation of resentment that destroys partnerships when one party feels the value exchange has become imbalanced. Address the difficult questions early. What happens if the partnership is not working? How will disagreements be resolved? What are the exit terms? These conversations feel uncomfortable at the beginning when everyone is optimistic, but having them early, when goodwill is high, is far easier and more productive than having them later, when frustration has already built. Think of it like a prenuptial agreement, not a sign of distrust, but a sign of maturity and forethought. Stephen Covey described the concept of an emotional bank account in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Every interaction with a partner is either a deposit, building trust through honesty, follow-through, and generosity, or a withdrawal, eroding trust through broken promises, hidden agendas, or neglect. Partnerships fail not because of a single catastrophic betrayal, but because of accumulated small withdrawals that drain the account until nothing remains. Make deliberate deposits regularly. Acknowledge your partner's contributions publicly, share credit generously, follow through on small commitments as reliably as large ones, and communicate proactively when problems arise rather than waiting for your partner to discover them. Protect intellectual contributions explicitly. When partnerships involve sharing knowledge, technology, or customer data, clarity about ownership and usage rights is essential. Who owns jointly developed intellectual property? What happens to shared data if the partnership ends? These questions should be answered in writing before sensitive information is exchanged. Trust is essential but insufficient. Clear agreements protect both parties and actually strengthen trust by removing ambiguity. Part 4. Maintaining partnerships through difficulty. Every meaningful partnership will face challenges. How you handle difficulty determines whether the partnership strengthens or breaks. Communicate problems early and directly. When something is not working, the instinct is often to avoid the conversation, hoping the problem resolves itself. It rarely does. Problems that are small when first noticed become large when ignored. The communication dimension of the 6 C's is critical here. Address concerns directly, specifically, and constructively. Not this partnership isn't working, but we committed to delivering 50 leads per month and have averaged 20 for the past quarter. Can we discuss what is happening and how to address it? Specificity makes difficult conversations productive rather than defensive. Assume positive intent when interpreting partner behavior. When a partner falls short of expectations, the default human assumption is often negative. They do not care, they are not committed, they are taking advantage of us. Usually the reality is more mundane. They are dealing with internal challenges you do not see, priorities have shifted, or they misunderstood the expectation. Before reacting with frustration, ask, "Help me understand what happened." This question opens dialogue rather than triggering defensiveness. Know when to end a partnership gracefully. Not every partnership should be saved. If values have diverged, if trust has been genuinely broken, or if the strategic rationale no longer exists, ending the partnership may be the right decision. but how you end matters enormously, both for your reputation and for future opportunities. End with gratitude for what was accomplished, clarity about the reasons, and generosity about the transition. The business world is smaller than it appears, and the person you part ways with today may be the partner, customer, or investor you need tomorrow. For Kazakhstan entrepreneurs, partnerships have distinctive cultural significance. In Kazakh business culture, personal relationships and trust are the foundation of all business activity, far more than in many Western markets where contracts and legal frameworks carry the primary weight. This is a genuine strength. Partnerships built on personal trust and mutual respect can be deeper, more flexible, and more resilient than purely contractual relationships. But it also means that betrayals of trust cause disproportionate damage, not just to the specific partnership, but to your reputation across the business community. In Kazakhstan's relatively interconnected business ecosystem, your reputation as a trustworthy partner is one of your most valuable assets. Protect it fiercely by being consistently honest, following through on every commitment regardless of size, and treating every partner's interests with the same seriousness you treat your own. Here is your practice for this week. Map your current partnership landscape. Draw 3 concentric circles. In the inner circle, list the 2 or 3 organizations whose partnership is most critical to your success right now. In the middle circle, list organizations you should be building relationships with for the next 12 months, monthly. In the outer circle, list organizations that could be valuable partners in 2 to 3 years. For each organization in the inner circle, assess the health of the relationship. When did you last communicate? Is the value exchange balanced? Are there unresolved issues? For each organization in the middle circle, identify one action you can take this week to begin building the relationship. An introduction, a shared insight, an offer to help with something they need. This map becomes your partnership strategy, reviewed and updated. Resources to deepen your learning. The Alliance by Reid Hoffman, Ben Casnocha, and Chris Ye reframes professional relationships as mutual investments. Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi provides practical guidance on building genuine professional relationships. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey offers foundational principles on interdependence and mutual benefit. And Getting to Yes by Fisher and Ury, which we discussed in our session on collaborative problem solving, applies directly to partnership negotiation. Partnerships multiply what you can achieve. A single startup working alone has limited reach, limited resources, and limited credibility. A startup embedded in a network of genuine, trust-based partnerships has access to capabilities, markets, and opportunities that transform what is possible. Build partnerships the way you build teams, with care, with honesty, with genuine investment in the other party's success. The relationships you build as an entrepreneur will outlast any individual product, market, or strategy. They are the infrastructure on which everything else is built.